Are you tired of feeling stuck, watching the idea of real freedom drift further away each year? Imagine a future where every choice actually feels like a choice, not a reaction to the latest bill or crisis. This is a story about how saving stops being a punishment and starts becoming a quiet way of buying freedom. Future you will remember what happens with the next few dollars, not as sacrifice, but as escape. In most people's lives, money rules in the background. Rent increases, a broken car, a sudden layoff, and everything else has to be rearranged around one fact: there is no room to breathe. Freedom is not about never working again or buying anything without thinking. The first real level of freedom is much smaller and far more powerful. It is the moment when a person has enough set aside that a bad month or even a bad year no longer decides everything. In this story, freedom means three simple things. First, being able to handle several months of basic expenses without panic. Second, having the option to say no to a job, a landlord, or a client who treats people badly. Third, making decisions based on long-term sense rather than short-term fear. Saving is just the mechanism. The real goal is that breathing room. Picture two people beginning from roughly the same place, similar income, similar rent, similar frustrations. Both feel trapped in the same work, bills, sleep loop. The first person treats every extra bit of money as temporary relief. A small raise disappears into a nicer phone, more takeout, another subscription. A tax refund pays off a card, and the card slowly fills up again. Nothing seems reckless, but nothing builds a buffer. The second person decides that every extra dollar has a job, buying time in the future. A part of each paycheck moves automatically into a separate account. Raises and windfalls are quietly captured instead of spent. Life does not become joyless, but it also does not expand to match every small income. On the surface, these two lives still look similar. Underneath, one is building a wall of calm and the other is walking on bare wire. Years later, the economy shifts. Work becomes unstable. The first person faces a layoff and has weeks, maybe days, to find anything that pays. The second person faces the same news with several months of expenses ready. Neither situation is easy, but one is a crisis and the other is a problem that can be solved. The difference started with very small, very quiet decisions. To keep this story grounded, give the idea of saving a clear mission. Instead of vaguely saving more, think of it as building a freedom fund. The goal is simple: 3 to 6 months of essential living costs set aside where it is hard to touch by accident. Not luxury spending. Just rent or mortgage, utilities, basic food, transport, and the minimum payments that keep life standing. This number looks different for everyone. For some, it might be the cost of a small rented room and a bus pass. For others, it might be supporting a family. Either way, the power comes from knowing the target and watching it grow. Every transfer into that fund is not just a number going up. It is one more month that future life is no longer at the mercy of a single paycheck. Most people fail at saving because they try to rely on willpower at the end of the month. A system flips that around. The first step is paying the Freedom Fund before anything optional. On payday, a set amount moves automatically into savings or a simple investment account. It happens before the mind has a chance to explain why this month is different. The second step is protecting the big levers instead of obsessing over small pleasures. Huge car payments, long contracts, and oversized housing silently destroy freedom far faster than a snack or a coffee. A person who drives an older car, shares a place, or avoids long, expensive contracts may look less impressive on the outside, but every month they are buying back more of their future time. The third step is treating raises and windfalls as accelerators. Whenever income increases, lifestyle stays almost the same for a while. The gap between old spending and new income flows straight into the Freedom Fund. A bonus, refund, or gift does not become a shopping event. It becomes another few weeks of freedom purchased in advance. In the future, the Freedom Fund does something subtle but life-changing. When a manager crosses a line, when a landlord pushes too far, when a job becomes unhealthy, there is finally another option besides endurance. Instead of clinging to any offer, a person can pause, look around, and choose from a better position. That savings also buys space for change. Someone who wants to retrain, start a small project, move to a different city, or support a family member can do so without entire life collapse. The fund does not remove risk, but it turns each risk from a cliff into a hill. Future decisions become less about survival and more about fit. In the end, this story is not about numbers on a screen. It is about who is in control when life throws its next surprise. One path leads to a future where every crisis dictates the next move. The other leads to a future where crises still hurt, but they no longer own the entire story. Somewhere ahead, a version of each person is looking back. That future self remembers the nights spent scrolling instead of spending, the decision to keep the old phone, the quiet choice to send a piece of every paycheck to a different account. From that vantage point, the message is simple. Thank you for giving me time. Thank you for giving me options. Thank you for saving for freedom when it would have been easier to do nothing.